Welcome to a space where ancient wisdom meets modern aesthetics. I'm your guide on this journey through Art Conscious, the channel that explores how art can become powerful tools for spiritual growth and positive impact. There was a moment in my journey when I realized that everything I thought I knew about wealth art was backwards. I was chasing numbers on screens, buying art for status, accumulating without consciousness. And then I discovered something profound. For thousands of years, humans have understood something we've forgotten in our modern rush for profit. That true wealth isn't just about accumulation, it's about alignment. The ancient Egyptians didn't just build pyramids as tombs, they created eternal portfolios. Buddhist monks didn't just create mandalas for meditation, they understood sacred economics. So whether you're an art collector seeking deeper meaning, an investor looking for conscious opportunities, an interior designer curating spaces for the soul, or an artist wanting to understand your true value, this is your sanctuary. Today we begin with a fundamental question. What if your investment portfolio could be a spiritual practice? What if every piece of art you acquire could serve not just your wealth, but your consciousness? Let's explore the sacred economy of art. To understand where we're going, we must first understand where we've been. Throughout history, the civilizations that lasted weren't just militarily powerful, they were spiritually conscious about their wealth, and art was their secret. Let's start in ancient Egypt, around 2500 BCE. When Pharaoh Khufu commissioned the Great Pyramid, he wasn't just building a tomb, he was creating the world's first long-term art investment fund. Think about it. Those hieroglyphic paintings, those golden burial masks, those intricate sarcophagi, a piece of Egyptian art from the Middle Kingdom that might have cost the equivalent of 100 gold pieces, then would sell for millions today. That's not just preservation of wealth, that's conscious multiplication over millennia. The Egyptians understood something profound. Art that serves the soul never loses its value. Fast forward to ancient Tibet. Buddhist monasteries weren't just spiritual centers, they were economic powerhouses. But here's what's fascinating. Their wealth came from understanding impermanence. Those sand mandalas, destroyed after creation, they weren't investments in objects, they were investments in consciousness itself. And yet the tangible art they did preserve, Thangka paintings, bronze Buddhas, sacred texts, these have become some of the most sought-after pieces in today's conscious collector market. Why? Because they carry intentionality. They were created not for ego, but for awakening. Then we reach Renaissance Florence and the Medici family, perhaps history's first conscious art investors. Lorenzo de' Medici wasn't just funding artists like Michelangelo and Botticelli for prestige. He understood that supporting true artistic genius was an investment in human consciousness itself. A Botticelli that the Medici commissioned for perhaps 50 florins would sell for $50 million today. But more importantly, that investment elevated all of humanity's understanding of beauty, proportion, and possibility. Here's the pattern. Civilizations that invested in art with spiritual intention created wealth that transcended time. Their portfolios didn't just survive economic crashes, wars, and political upheavals. They grew more valuable through them. The question for us today is, are we investing like the ancients with consciousness and intention, or are we just gambling with pretty objects? So what does conscious collecting look like in our modern world? It starts with understanding the difference between speculative buying and sacred investing. Well, speculative buying asks, will this make me money? Conscious collecting asks, will this serve consciousness? The beautiful irony? The pieces that serve consciousness tend to appreciate the most over time. Let's explore this through what I call sacred ESG, applying environmental, social, and governance principles to art investment, but with spiritual depth. Environmental consciousness. This isn't just about artists who paint trees. This is about supporting artists who understand our interconnection with nature. Take someone like Maya Lin, her Storm King Wavefield isn't just land art. It's a meditation on our relationship with the earth. When you invest in environmentally conscious art, you're not just buying an object, you're voting for a worldview. And the market has noticed. Environmental art has outperformed traditional categories by 23% over the last decade. Social consciousness. This means investing in voices that need to be heard, not just names that are already famous. When you purchase work from underrepresented artists, indigenous voices, women artists, artists from the global south, you're not just diversifying your portfolio, you're diversifying consciousness itself. Here's a powerful example. 5 years ago, you could acquire museum-quality work from leading indigenous artists for $5,000 to $15,000. Today, those same artists are selling for $50,000 to $200,000. But more importantly, their voices are reshaping how we understand art, land, and spirituality. Governance consciousness. This is about transparency, fair compensation, and authentic relationships. It means buying directly from artists when possible, ensuring clear provenance, and supporting platforms that treat artists as partners, not commodities. Let me share a case study of conscious collecting in action. Consider Olafur Eliasson, an artist whose work bridges consciousness and social impact. His weather project at the Tate Modern wasn't just an installation. It was a meditation on perception and collective experience. When conscious collectors invested in Eliasson's work in the early 2000s, they weren't just buying pretty lights. They were supporting an artist committed to renewable energy, refugee support, and expanding human perception. His pieces have appreciated 400% over 20 years. But more importantly, they've shifted how millions experience art and consciousness. The conscious collector's portfolio looks different. Instead of trophy pieces bought for status, it contains works that spark genuine transformation. Instead of following market trends, it follows consciousness trends. Instead of hiding art and storage as commodities, conscious collectors live with their pieces, allowing them to influence daily consciousness. And here's what's remarkable. When you collect consciously, you often outperform unconscious collectors. Why? Because consciousness is the ultimate long-term trend. As humanity evolves, art that serves awakening becomes more valuable, while art created purely for ego or shock value fades. The conscious collector doesn't just own art, they are in relationship with it. They ask, how is this piece teaching me? How is it serving my growth? How is it contributing to collective awakening? Now, let's get practical. How do you transform art collecting from a material pursuit into a spiritual practice? I want to share with you a 4-step framework I call the sacred pause, a mindfulness practice for any art investment decision. Step 1. The sacred pause. Before you purchase any piece, whether it's $500 or $50,000, take 3 conscious breaths. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice what's driving the desire to acquire. Is it ego wanting status, fear of missing out, or genuine resonance with the work? I once watched a collector spend $200,000 on a piece simply because someone else was bidding. That's unconscious accumulation. The sacred pause prevents reactive purchasing. Step 2, the alignment question. Ask yourself, does this align with my deepest values? Not your social media image, not your investment goals or deepest values. If you value peace, does this piece bring peace? If you value justice, does supporting this artist serve justice? If you value beauty, does this piece genuinely move your soul? Step 3, the joy test. Imagine living with this piece for 10 years, not owning it, living with it. Will it continue to teach you? Will it spark joy when you see it daily? Or will it become invisible furniture? The masters understood this. When the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan commissioned the Taj Mahal, he wasn't thinking about resale value. He was creating something that would inspire love for centuries. That's why it remains priceless. Step 4, the service question. Finally ask, how does this purchase serve consciousness beyond my personal benefit? Are you supporting an artist's growth? Preserving an important cultural voice? Contributing to beauty in the world? Now, let's create your personal art value statement. This becomes your North Star for all collecting decisions. Take out your phone and open a note. Write these prompts and answer them honestly. I collect art too. What's your deepest intention? My collection should reflect. What values matter most to you? When I see my art, I want to feel. What emotional state do you seek? My collection should support. What causes or communities matter to you? In 20 years, I want my collection to represent. What legacy are you creating? Here are some examples. I collect art to surround myself with reminders of beauty, support emerging voices, and create a legacy of conscious investment for my children. My collection should reflect diversity, authenticity, and spiritual depth, supporting artists who are healing our world through their vision. Print this out. Put it where you'll see it before making any art purchase. Let it be your guide from unconscious accumulation to conscious curation. And here's your first community challenge. Share your art value statement in the comments. Let's inspire each other toward more conscious collecting. Use the hashtag #ConsciousCollecting so we can find each other across platforms. Let's close today's journey with a brief meditation. Find a comfortable position. If you're listening while walking or driving, just let these words wash over you. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take 3 deep breaths. With each exhale, release any anxiety about money, status, or making the right investment decisions. Now imagine your ideal art collection, not as a gallery, but as a sacred space. See yourself moving through this space 20 years from now. You're older, wiser. Each piece tells a story not just of financial growth, but of your spiritual journey. Feel the joy, the peace, the inspiration these pieces bring. See how each one contributed not just to your wealth, but to your awakening. Notice how your conscious choices supported artists, preserved culture, and served beauty in the world. From this future perspective, whisper a thank you to your present self for choosing consciousness over accumulation, for choosing service over status, for choosing love over fear in your investments. Now, place your hand on your heart and repeat after me. My wealth serves consciousness. Consciousness guides my wealth. I invest in beauty, truth, and awakening. My collecting creates a positive impact. I am a conscious curator of this beautiful world. Take a deep breath and gently return to the present moment. You are now part of a sacred economy, one that values consciousness as much as capital. Next week, we journey to ancient Egypt to learn investment wisdom from Thoth, the god of wisdom and divine accounting. We'll discover why Egyptian art has been humanity's most reliable store of value for over 4,000 years, and how to apply those principles to your modern portfolio. If this resonated with you, subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Share this video with someone who might be ready to transform their relationship with wealth and art. And remember to share your art value statement in the comments with #ConsciousCollecting. Let's build a community of awakened investors and collectors. Until next week, may your investments serve your highest good, and may your consciousness guide your wealth.